Well, here it is. Tonight we're heading over for what will be our final home group of 2018.
Sharing God's love in the digital world and encouraging others to live by faith. This is Joshua Verwers.
Hey y'all, my name is Joshua Verwers and I just want to thank you so much for being here with me today. We find ourselves right here on day 20 of the 25 days of Vlogmas. And it's kind of fitting because as we're nearing the end of Vlogmas, tonight we're nearing the end of our home groups for the year. Now earlier this year, we actually started rolling out this idea of home groups. And I know a lot of churches do that, whether they call it a cell group or a small group or a life group or a home group or whatever they name it. If you guys have them at your church, what do you name yours? I'd like to hear about it in the comments. And I would also like to hear about what kind of format you have down in the comments as well. The reason I'm curious about this is because we have two different home groups that we're running through our church in two different cities, and they have two different focuses. As the lead pastor, when I wanted to roll these home groups out, my whole focus on them and the real agenda behind it was to help strengthen and build this church family and the community that we have. I didn't want to micromanage these home groups. I really wanted to just kind of look at them, let them build on their own, and see what type of life and personality they would come up with. The one that we're going to tonight is very much relational driven. And it's not to say that it's not biblical in its approach. It very much is. But it's got a strong emphasis and a focus on building the relationships of each person that comes there. Whereas the other home group that we've got, it's got more of a biblical approach. Now that doesn't mean it's not relational, but it means it's got a stronger emphasis on let's study the Bible, and the relations come after that. For me, I've attended both and I found it fascinating just to sit there and observe and even participate and see how two different groups from the same church can have two different focuses. And part of that is based upon the leaders, and part of it is based on the members that attend. I've got more of a broad approach to this, where my whole agenda is, let's just try to do what Hebrews 10:25 says. I think I referenced Hebrews 10:25 in my video last night when I was talking about not comparing yourself to another, because what we're supposed to be doing, as Hebrews tells us, is encourage one another. And it really says that there are people that have stopped gathering together, they've stopped assembling, they've stopped meeting, and we shouldn't be doing that. But as we see the day of the Lord approaching, as we see His return getting closer, we need to be meeting more frequently so that we can encourage one another and help build one another up. So that was my whole focus behind these home groups, is I wanted to see them encourage people and build each other up. That can be done through the Bible, it can be done through relationships, it can be done through prayer, it can be done through a variety of different means. I just wanted to see the encouragement taking place, and I believe that's what's been happening. So I better stop talking about it, and I better get going. It starts in just a few minutes. Oh yeah, so that was great. See, this was the final home group of 2018 and it was amazing. We got to really just kind of visit and hang out with one another. We ate some good food. It was mostly snack food, but we were able to do that. We were able to have some great conversations and even discuss kind of what God has been doing over the last year and share some of our goals and some of the plans that we think God is going to lead us through the next year. So it was really encouraging for me to hear the plans that people have, the goals that they're kind of setting, even if they didn't want to verbalize all of them. And I get that. It's not like we want to set ourselves up for failure. And sometimes if we make a big, bold statement, that can be kind of a hard thing. But I also heard this in a live stream from Trey Van Camp last night where they were talking about prayer, and he brought up a really good question when he said, if God were to answer all of your prayers right now, what would you wind up with? And so for me, my goals, those are also prayers. And so I'm believing that God is going to do some big things in 2019. And I hope that you would believe the same thing. So I'm excited for what 2019's got in store. I am going to miss having our home group over the next couple weeks, but I'm going to take that little bit of a break as a chance to really just focus in on God, really reflect on where He's brought me and where He's taking me. So once we hit 2019, I can hit the ground running. Now, one more question I've got for you guys. Do you have a big goal for 2019? Something that you're really going to have to stretch your faith and believe God for? If so, how about you go ahead and make a step of faith by typing it out by faith down in the comments below. Let me know what it is that you believe God's going to be doing, and let's keep our eyes focused on those big things. So there you have it. That's day 20 all wrapped up in a pretty little bow. We will be back tomorrow with day 21 of Vlogmas. And until then, I just want you all to stay blessed, enjoy God's best, and Merry Christmas.